Sri Lanka has suspended its entire foreign debt payments to save money for food and for medicines. In fact, this is the worst ever economic crisis that we are looking at in Sri Lanka in memory that we've seen. The entire $51 billion external debt has been suspended by Sri Lanka. The crisis-stricken Sri Lanka has been unable to repay its entire debt. Of course, this is a temporary suspension to avoid a hard default, and this comes right ahead of the pending IMF bailout as well. Remember that defaults on the entire $51 billion external debt is a serious and a critical situation that Sri Lanka has landed itself in. We are already seeing that its foreign reserves have now slipped almost 16% in the month of March and now stand at $1.94 billion. And that is a critical situation as well. Sri Lanka has sought debt relief from India and from China, but both the countries instead have offered more credit lines to Sri Lanka to buy commodities from their respective countries as well at this point in time. Remember, China and Japan hold 10% each of Sri Lanka's foreign debt, and when it comes to India, it holds about 5% of Sri Lanka's foreign debt at this current point. It has suspended the foreign debt payments to avoid any kind of a hard default on its payments. Remember, Sri Lanka has also said that a suspension of the entire debt is in a way a fair and equitable treatment of all creditors at this point in time. There is limited forex reserves in the country which are now needed to import all the essentials like food and medicines at this point in time, and which is why Sri Lanka has taken this extreme step at this point in time. The gross debt servicing would now amount to about $7 billion as of 2022, and this is most of the estimate. As against, remember, the current forex reserves are just less than $2 billion as well. Remember, the current account deficit of Sri Lanka is also currently at $3 billion at this point in time, and that is what a JP Morgan report has suggested. Remember, there is an inflationary problem as well that at this point in time Sri Lanka is facing. There is a rising inflation. It has shot up above 18.7%. Compare it with 2021 inflation when it stood below 7% mark as well. So that is a rising concern on the back of this economic crisis. Also, when you talk about the exchange rate, the Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated against the US dollar now to 310. One Sri Lankan rupee against $1 as well. Remember, this is also, the depreciation has surged from 199 against the US dollar to 310 now. Remember, oil is also on the boil in Sri Lanka. When we are talking about the petrol and diesel prices rise in India, look at the kind of levels that we are seeing in Sri Lanka, that of petrol and diesel at this point in time. Petrol at this point in time has surged, and talk about diesel right now, 176 Sri Lankan rupee for 1 litre of diesel at this point in time in April 2022. That's the kind of surge that you are seeing. The rising food prices are another matter of a concern at this point in time. In the month of March, we've seen in Sri Lanka, food prices have shot up over 30.2%. That's the kind of spike that you are seeing, and which is why the hue and crisis and the cry among the people of Sri Lanka at this point in time, and the protests against demanding resignation from the current government. Sovereign debt defaults have not just happened in Sri Lanka. Remember, it has happened in the other countries also before this. We've seen that for Argentina, we've seen that for Zimbabwe, for Greece, and many other countries starting right from 2004 to 2022 now.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.